welcome back from that break. This is still the AM Club. We're coming to you live from the MX24 studios, only on the streets, East Legon, Accra, Ghana. My name is Miriam Uduak Mensah. We're also live on ABC News. So we're in many communities now, many homes now, and the conversation is getting bigger and better. So you're welcome to be a part of this movement. We tell you that this is not just a morning show, it's a movement to give the young person a voice, to speak, to, to express themselves in a very, what's the name I gave to you for this morning? Well, I'll find it, but you're welcome to the show. We're about to get into our big conversation for this morning. Dr. Palgrave Boakye-Danquah is sitting here already. We're ready to get into conversations as it relates to the NPP. Now, questions are being asked, and so I am just going to be asking your questions that you shared with us, but also if you're joining us this morning and didn't have the opportunity to send your messages earlier, you can do so now. 055-033-1511, 055-033-1511. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are we doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Awesome. It's good to see you.
It's good to be here.
I told you the other day that you're aging backwards. I don't know what's happening, but whatever it is that's happening is good. He gave me a reason. I'll tell you for after the show, okay? Now, the New Patriotic Party finds itself in an interesting point in its political journey. Out of government, reorganizing internally, confronting questions about its future, while also taking to the streets over what it describes as threats to Ghana's democracy, which we saw not too long ago. Now, in recent democracy attack demonstration, that has generated many important debates as it relates to the NPP. Now, is the NPP raising legitimate concerns about the treatment of political opponents and the state of our democracy, or is just a political party finding its voice in opposition? Now, these are legitimate questions, I'm telling you. Don't get upset if you're an NPP person. These are legitimate questions. And so, also, conversations with Chairman Wontumi as well are coming up. I think last week, was it a couple of days ago, you had a vigil, and I had concerns about the vigil. You're going to tell us why that in our conversation this morning. So let's just jump right into it. We're going to look at this conversation in 4 parts. We'll look at the democracy under attack demonstration. We'll look at the Wontumi case, and we'll also look at the NPP itself as a political party, and then we'll end forward. We'll look at conversations into the 2028 elections, how we're preparing towards that. And so someone told me, you keep saying we, anytime you're talking about a political party, so we as Ghanaians, okay, you don't come for my life. Now let's kickstart like this time. Let's begin with the demonstration. When the NPP says democracy is under attack, what specifically is under attack in Ghana's in Ghana today? And I want us to go with the clearest evidence there are in here. So, Pari, let's go.
Thank you very much, Mimi, and very good morning to your listeners and your viewing public. It's always an opportunity to be here.
It's always
and
a pleasure.
You have gradually become a West African citizen.
Thank you.
And I commend you for that.
Thank you.
I think that I have a commitment to your network once a year.
Yeah.
And so last year I was here just about this time,
yes.
and I'm here this year as well, and so I'm happy to be here.
Thank you.
Well, there are a number of pillars of democracy, and I'll just state 2 of that. One is the rule of law, and then the second is freedom of expression of speech. Obviously, there's involvement and participation in the ongoing governance that people are limited to. So we'll look at the coming of President John Dramani Mahama in his second tenure and the promises that he made to the Ghanaian people. On the 2025, January 7th, when he was sworn in, he came into office with a lot of promises that he made. One was his desire to turn this economy around and let it have a 24-hour economy. We haven't seen that. The second was his Nkoko Nkete, which has been squandered. The minister told us that they have eaten the chickens, spent close to about 245 million Ghana cedis of our Ghanaian taxpayers. And of course, the rule of law. Now, every moral fabric of every democracy is the stability of the rule of law. When the rule of law breaks down, it's almost becoming like a milli-state, like we have in other sub-regional countries like Burkina Faso, like Mali, like Niger, and all of those that have been either democratically distilled by military regime. And we have seen that the rule of law doesn't seem to be working in this country in terms of selective justice. we saw the Attorney General at the very beginning of the tenure of President John Dramani Mahama discontinue all other legal cases, and they call it noli prosequa, that the state is not interested in persecuting or prosecuting those cases. I had a lot of cause of concern for that, and all of those persons that were discontinued were politically aligned or sympathizers of the NDC. But you realize that then comes the NPP, where the Attorney General, together with the state, is almost always going against and after all persons that held public offices in the then Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government. That means that the rule of law doesn't seem to work. It's almost like a selective justice that is ongoing. That gives me cause for concern, especially because this has been the most stable fourth republic that we have ever had. Remember that Ghana had independence in 1957. Then we had our first republic from 1960, 1961. Then we had our second republic. Then there were a bit more military juntas that came all throughout from Kotoka, Free Fire, Champon, all of that. And then we came to Sankara. Then we come to President John Rawlings and all of those. I mean, Sankara is of Burkina Faso anyway. But I mean, if you look at it clearly, it's almost like we are going to the dark days of the past, where we didn't want to be in this country. Look at the judiciary. Look at the fact that people are going through selective justice. Yeah. Okay, and that gives us a lot of concern. We are aware that there is an abuse of the new media, and we frown upon that. We don't expect that people use the new media to disregard the value system and the Ghanaism that J.B. Danquah spoke about in the days of old, that as a country we must have strong values that we adhere to. So we frown upon people that use social media to insult, to denigrate leaders of the country. But I think that the extent to which the government is going with the victimization of young people's involvement in expressing their opinions, however it may be, it's too far-fetched. I mean, of course, people may threaten leaders. There are modalities within which you can take them through, but to start sentencing people into jail for 1 year because they have either expressed their opinions and views, I mean, I frown upon some of the comments that were made, but I felt that there were some remedial measures that could be put in place. I also realized that there are other young people who are either at the wrong place at the wrong time, and they capture the president in a conversation. They are either being a cut and back for a week or 2 or 3, and all of those calls for human rights. It's almost like the government does not want to listen to the plight of the Ghanaian people. There's all this conversation about the president's desire for a third term. Over and over again, the president himself has stated that he's not interested in it. But we are aware of what goes around within the political table. We are aware there are certain people, very influential people, that are behind certain actors to be able to go to the Supreme Court to seek interpretation, whether it's conservative or whether you can come back again. I mean, what are we trying to do to ourselves? We live in a sub-region where majority, if not 1/3, of the sub-regional West African countries are already destabilized. They are threats of terrorism. And we've spoken about it over and over again. If you look at state of security in this country, it's abysmal. Almost every single week we are getting cocaine. If the National Board for Narcotics is not getting cocaine, they're getting weed. They are getting a lot of contraband. That is almost becoming, Ghana is almost becoming a passage, okay, that is taking all of these illegalities through. And so these are things that gives us as a concern for the New Patriotic Party, which is why we staged the demonstration. It was attended by thousands of people. Thousands of people. We are glad that the government gave us an opportunity to present a petition. I hope that they have listened to our voices. We are the biggest opposition party. We've had an opportunity to sit where they are sitting, and we'll have an opportunity again to go back there in 2028. And I don't think that what we see now is what we'll be doing. We are a political party that believes in the rule of law. We uphold the rule of law. We have come at the backbench of making sure that there is freedom of speech and expression, where people are not intimidated by what they say. We don't want to live in a country where people are intimidated by what they say. We don't want to live in a country where it's almost like a parastate, a military state. And those gives us lots of cause of concern.
But then again, then your opponent, that's the NDC, comes back to say that the mere fact that you have the opportunity to demonstrate in this country, to present your case or your petition to, you are not very happy about those who receive your petition, but just the mere fact that you're present and are able to organize all of these things insinuates or just shows that there is democracy working in this country. What do you say about that?
I disagree. I mean, of course, we have an opportunity to exercise our democratic rights by disagreeing with the government and demonstrating as the biggest opposition party. I do not see where the government would have had an opportunity to prevent us from demonstrating. We had all our leaders at the forefront of demonstration from the parliament. We had the minority leader as part of it. We had the former majority leader as part of it. We had the national executives of the party, the general secretary, the national organizer, and members of parliament were all part of it. And we had the flag bearers office as well. And then we had the grassroots and the polling station officers. And so you could see that, I mean, we had a very clear mandate. And the crowd was overwhelming. I mean, we had done a demonstration, if by not exaggeration, about 9 kilometers of walk all the way from the Supreme Court. We delivered our petition there that we are not happy with how the judiciary is handling issues, and so they should be able to look at it, and that we had major concerns with how Yoko was putting together the arrest and the bail conditions that they were doing. We also went there, and then we came finally to the seat of government. And they must realize that these are places where we have been before, and we didn't manage the economy or even the country in the manner in which they are managing. There's a lot of fear and panic. And we don't need that, okay? We really don't need that. I mean, Ghana is not just Greater Accra. Go and look in the Upper East region. You hear what is going on in Boku. You hear of the land disputes. You hear of the chieftaincy disputes. You hear of the Bindiri displacement that displaced over 64,000 people in Burkina Faso. It is only this government in this Fourth Republic that has been able to have Ghanaians as refugees. In Burkina Faso, it's never happened before. Not even under the government of Jerry John Rawlings from 1992 to 2000. Not even under the government of John Ajay Kufuor from 2001 to 2008. Not even under the government of John Evans Atta Mills from 2008 to 2012. And so what are we seeing? Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, they never had displaced refugees of this country in another country. But we, under the leadership of John Dramani Mahama, his second term and final term, I mean, I think that he must get it right. This is his final term. There is no third term agenda that is ever going to happen in this country. It's going to destabilize the peace and the serenity that we have enjoyed over the years. Okay. And I think that these conversations must be nipped in the bud. The Supreme Court must come clear and clean as soon as possible for us to be able to know the clear path of this. I thought that at their rising, they would have give us a clear indication of this third term. It's still a conversation that is ongoing. So really, it is this government that has given the Ghanaian people a legacy of refugees. It has never happened at all. So really, what are we doing in this country?
Right. So, again, let's establish that what is really the NPP's concern as it relates to this particular conversation fundamentally. Is it about Ghana's democracy, or it's about what the party considers selective persecution of its people? Because it's two conversations we're having in one, and people are not quite clear what it is that we're talking about. Are we talking about the persecution of your people, or it is really generally Ghanaians are not enjoying democracy as they're supposed to?
It's Uduak. It's almost like a chicken and an egg situation, okay? What it is that the persecutions that the New Patriotic Party is going through undermines what we all stood for in terms of our democracy. Democracy gives us a proper rule of law. Are you not concerned that every single state institution is almost becoming politically tainted and colored? That gives us a lot of concern. Okay, we have four realms of the estate. That's what we were taught. We have the executive, we have the judiciary, we have the legislature, and we have the media. Now, the media are not even having their voices now. Then are the days of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, where the media were vicious. They had their voice. They had the opportunity to express their opinion. Today, the media cannot speak. I don't know whether it is the budget of 78 million that has closed the mouth of the media. But it should not be so.
The case.
Okay, it should not be so. We should have an objective, clean, non-partisan, non-colored media. Okay, and so for us as a New Patriotic Party, what we are saying is that if you look at the pillars of democracy as it relates to freedom of expression of speech, as it relates to the rule of law, these fundamental pillars of democracy has been undermined by the government of the NDC under the leadership of President John Dramani Mahama, which gives us cause of concern that we must look at it, because look, this Fourth Republic from 1992 to 2026 gives us about 34 years. It's still fragile. It's still young. The constitution that's birthed this Fourth Republic is still young. We haven't yet torn it apart. And so our democracy is not as deepened as we thought it is. I mean, we have huge democracies like the democracies of America. We have the democracies of Europe and UK. We have the democracies of the Asian tigers. But if you look at the fragility of the democracies that we have on the continent of Africa, it needs much to be desired. So if you have a president of a country and you don't take the peace and the serenity that we enjoy, and you don't value it that much, then it means that you are toying with a democracy. And that is why we need to raise cause of concern. Because look at the several arrests that have been done, and look at the impact of that on the families. You can name them. You can name them. And sometimes you realize that these arrests and these victimizations could have been prevented. Really, could have been prevented.
I would like us to get into an area where I question, my young people and I are questioning how you the NPP, recommend that when we're talking about conversations about corruption and corruption-related activities, how we should tackle them. We'll get there. But the NPP was in government for 8 years. You talked about the fact that most institutions were looking are tainted with political colors. So we're going to get into that area quickly. Are there actions or precedents from your own period in government that you now recognize could have weakened some of the institutions you are asking to be protected today?
Uduak, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Okay.
Okay? In every government, you would have these three things happening: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay? Now, this Fourth Republic has come at the backbench of various political leaders and various presidents. Of course, they have had their preferences, okay, who have had an opportunity to aspire into higher office in state organizations. But the good, the bad, and the ugly, okay, it's brought all of us to the junction where we find ourselves at. When we have gotten to this junction, sanity must prevail. Okay, if sanity must prevail, you need a credible opposition party to point to you that the journey that we have been on, the trajectory that we have been on, is not the trajectory that we should be on. President John Dramani Mahama has the singular opportunity to leave the biggest legacy in this country. It's up to him if he wants to do it. He's had an opportunity to sit down, cross his leg, watch TV, drink tea, eat biscuits, and observe the government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He has an opportunity to call his good. He has an opportunity to call his bad. He has an opportunity to call his ugly. And so if you come into government, one of the things that you want to do is that you have been a leader that has learned all these mistakes, and you have learned all this good, and you have learned all this bad. So one of the things that you would not expect that the presidency of John Dramani Mahama would do is to repeat certain bad and certain ugly. At least, repeat some good. But don't repeat the bad, don't repeat the ugly. And don't add on to the bad and don't add on to the ugly. Because we live in a society where all fingers are not the same. If all fingers are not the same, it means that we have some negatives under the government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, which we admit. But of course, you don't want to have a government that comes to build upon the negatives, that gives us more negatives and gives us more bad and gives us more ugly. Which means there's going to be a challenge for us when we come on to undo the bad and the ugly of President John Dramani Mahama, which is why we need to speak about it.
Okay. Now, I come back to the question of how you, the NPP, recommend that we handle cases as relates to corruption and corruption-related activities. One will be the case of illegal mining. The second will be all of the very unpleasant things we see on social media as people speak and pass commentary on the government of the day. And these people are supposed to be members of the NPP. How do you recommend that we handle these cases?
Uduak, I can tell you that the best lessons of illegal mining can be learned from the government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And I'll tell you why. It is President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo that set up, okay, an opportunity for all our chiefs to come into a stakeholder meeting. It is President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo that set up the Alternative Livelihood Program. It is President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo that said he was putting his presidency on the line to make sure that illegal mining becomes a thing of the past. And it is President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo that placed regulations in place to make sure that we legalize. What is illegal mining? It is people mining without documents. That's all. So we legalize small-scale mining, bring people to responsible mining. It is President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo that did that. We have not seen any single policy from this government as it relates to illegal mining. Irresponsible mining is ongoing now as I speak to you. People are mining so irresponsibly. Just take a drive from Accra and go to Kumasi. On the road, wherever you get to, from Konongo, you will just see people mining. The whole country has become an illegal mining site.
And we don't see the president active about that. When we were fighting against illegal mining and irresponsible mining, the then opposition government were then going around the various illegal communities and telling them that when they come, they will let them do all of what they are doing. Today, we hear our Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams say a prayer, okay, that we should pray for Gold Board because their work is difficult. Of course, their work is difficult. We accept the prayer, we will pray for them. But we should be asking the responsible question, okay? If illegal mining and irresponsible mining has not plundered to this level, where are we getting the gold from? Today,
responsible mining?
I don't think so. Okay. Today, we have jailed Chairman Wontumi for being involved in illegal mining. But the charge sheet says that he was facilitating and that he had transferred without authorization. There was no mention of his involvement in illegal mining. The people that were perpetrating the illegal mining went into a plea bargain with the government and they set them free. So why can we take this government serious as it relates to illegal mining? 1 year after the passage of Omani Boama, 1 year after the passage of Murtala Mohammed, 1 year after the passage of the Deputy National Security Coordinator, 1 year after the passage of the Director of Operations of NADMO and all these military people that died, is that the legacy that the government of John Dramani Mahama wants to give as it relates to illegal mining? Look, Uduak, as I talk to you today at 9:40, I can tell you people are in the mining sites. And they are mining illegally, they are mining irresponsibly. The government doesn't want to bring them to book.
But that's the job of 9 months, and 9 months seems to be working. Do we not see that happening?
You know, Uduak, when we say that everything rises and falls on the leader, what we mean is that it's the responsibility of President John Dramani Mahama. He is the one that the Ghanaian people have given the mandate. He's the one that has been sworn in office as the President of the Republic of Ghana and the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. He's the one that has shared an aspect of his responsibility to every other person. So if 9 months is not doing his work, where does the ball stop? It stops at the doorfoot of President John Dramani Mahama. He must be able to take utmost responsibility. But as we speak today, people are mining illegally. Every single day, we have people mining illegally. Every single day, we have gold that cannot be traced, that people are mining and buying. So really, for me, you see, we wanted us to have a collective responsibility. Okay. In that collectivism, we were stating that let people mine responsibly. Look, Uduak, like your studio, which is as beautiful as it is, imagine a media space that is not regulated and that is not responsible. Imagine that. That is what is happening with illegal mining. We have government officials of President John Dramani Mahama that are involved now. I have a full list, but I'll keep it for now. I have a full list of government officials.
Share half of that list with us.
No, I won't share it. I won't share it. I have a full list of government officials that are involved in illegal mining, but the government has turned a blind eye on them.
Now, let's stay on the conversations of Chairman Wontumi for a minute. Now, the court convicted him and, of course, sentenced him to 20 years. Why should Ghanaians regard this as a political persecution rather than simply, the judiciary going through their actual processes to convict someone? What is the case at hand? Because I did hear Honorable Afenyo Markins, I think over the weekend, talk about why he has been sentenced to jail. Again, you've reiterated it here, that it is not as a result of he being a part of an illegal mining scheme or action, but rather, so explain to us what really is the Chairman Wontumi case.
You know, Uduak, I wish that the courtroom could take 35 million Ghanaians. I wish so. It's a very small court present, and so it cannot take even 200 people. And so for those of us that had an opportunity to be in court on that very day, which is the 20th of July, it's a day I can never forget in my life. Never, ever forget in my life. Where there were 2 stay of execution of the judgment from the lead counsel of Chairman Wontumi, which is lawyer Atachian. The stay of the execution was an interpretation of an aspect of the Constitution, which was referred to the Supreme Court. Then the second stay of execution was the fact that the lead counsel was out of the jurisdiction and would be back in the jurisdiction 2 days afterwards. The learned trial judge did not
execute this stay of execution and went ahead to pronounce her judgment. Of course, it is a very clear state and a very clear case. It is circumstantial evidence, okay, that has been used to try Chairman Wontumi and placed in prison today as I speak to you, okay? Now, Chairman Wontumi has a mining site, a legal mining site, legalized from Minerals Commission and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Development. Now, it is this government that revoked Chairman Wontumi's license. It is the minister, Amabua, who revoked it, I think sometime this year or so, which clearly states that Chairman Wontumi had legal license, okay, to mine. Now, Chairman Wontumi stated that he was doing reclamation on his mining site and had contracted a young man called Henry Okum. Henry Okum and Chairman Wontumi came into a contract to plant coconuts, about 30,000 seedlings. Now, Udok, coconut is a lot of money. I mean, if you're able to harvest the coconuts, which will be ready in the next 2 years, you will be a billionaire. And so the contract was that go and reclaim the land and plant the coconut. When the coconut yields the fruits, then we share the profit. Okay. This guy goes and now he starts mining. He mines irresponsibly. He sells the gold. The excavators are his. The workers are his. Chairman Wontumi never gets any proceeds of those mining. It's all in the statements at court. He never gets any single proceeds of the mining. In fact, Chairman Wontumi is vindicated to have reported this case to the Regional Executive Council, the then Western Regional Minister, for them to look into it. Because there's a lot of irresponsible mining that is going on.
Did he know about it before, or he just didn't supervise whatever was going on the land?
He was not involved. He never even went to the site. Okay? Now, when this government came and discontinued all their political friends' cases, and they called it money prosecutor, and they started coming after the government and the workers of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, they called this Henry Okum and they asked him to plea bargain. Plea bargain means admit that you are wrong and we will forgive you so that you can go scot-free and come and give a witness against the one who had given you the job. So that is what happened. So this Henry Okum comes and gives a witness against Chairman Wontumi, and then they use circumstantial evidence to put Chairman Wontumi in prison. It's a 59-page judgment. I've read it back to back. I've shared it with senior lawyers, and they have shared their opinion that this doesn't really, particulars of errors that are in it, this doesn't really, it doesn't match out. Like, we don't understand it. How do you put someone in jail for being involved in illegal mining? Okay? Yes, still you accuse the person for transferring mineral rights without authorization and for facilitating. So where is the law for that? Which is why we wanted Supreme Court to bring an interpretation.
The transfer of rights to that property, that has also come into the conversation. Was it illegally, transferred? Is that established that he legally transferred the property? Anyone
that is involved in mining is aware that you can have a big concession. Let me use Anglo Gold. Okay. Anglo Gold is a large-scale miner. Chairman Wontumi's mining skill is a large-scale mining field. Anglo Gold is a large-scale miner. If you, Uduak, you can go to Anglo Gold, tell them that you want a site. They can give you 5 acres, okay, of concession. And then they tell you that you should mine on it. Your contract is with Anglo Gold. They own the large-scale mining.
So whatever happens with the land is Anglo Gold's responsibility.
It's Anglo Gold's responsibility.
So we do see how this connects back to
Hold on. Anglo Gold is the one that owns the land. And they've given you a part for you to mine. Right. Chairman Wontumi is the one that owns the land. Right. And he's asked this man to do reclamation. Right. Okay. Then you state that he has transferred it without authorization. Authorization of who? That's the question. And so, can you say that Anglo Gold has transferred mineral rights to you, Uduak? And then, because they have transferred mineral rights to you,
They don't have the authorization, and so they'll take Anglo go to court. Have you ever heard it before? Which is why, okay, we have done a bill pending appeal. Hopefully, it should be heard on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay? Then we'll have Chairman Wontumi back to us so we can campaign for him to become national chairman, which I know we'll talk about.
Okay, we will.
And then also, we would wait for the bill, for the appeal. Okay? We've done an appeal because there are lots of particulars of errors, and there are a lot of grounds for the appeal that we have put in place. Okay? And we wish that the appeal court will hear it. We have seen some appeals that have been done, even in cases where there are evidences. But because it is the government in power, today, Sedinam is in the house.
You personally challenged, and I'm going to get into all of those conversations, you personally challenged Attorney General's argument that Chairman Wontumi was a flight risk because you say his passport was taken away from him long before, all these conversations caught fire. Tell me where we stand with that.
Uduak, is it not prejudicial for the learned Attorney General and the Minister of Justice to come into the media space and a bill that has not yet been heard, he gives an opinion of it? It's prejudicial. It's not right. It's really not right. Look, Chairman Wontumi is a citizen of this country. He has businesses in this country. He has investments in this country. And, of course, when Chairman Wontumi was picked by Yoko, his passport was taken. He has not even sought to ever request for his passport, like others have requested for. So where lies the flight risk? Chairman Wontumi doesn't go anywhere. He's not traveling anywhere. He's always in Ghana. He has an election to win. If you give him bail, you think it is time for him to go to London or go to America? To do what? When he has an opportunity to become national chairman of the biggest opposition party and the next government of Ghana, he's not going anywhere. So all we are saying is that give Chairman Wontumi bail. Allow the courts to hear it. But as the learned Attorney General, you are not supposed to be prejudicial. He's aware of it. So these statements are prejudicial. And there is nowhere you can say Chairman Wontumi is a flight risk. He's been here since we lost power. He's been here. He's not gone anywhere. Not visited any of his children. He's been here in Ghana.
Okay. Now, Wontumi's lawyers, finally on that particular conversation, before we get into other developing stories as it relates to the NPP and, of course, the Ashanti region, Wontumi's lawyers are appealing if the appellate process ultimately upholds his conviction. Will the NPP accept that outcome? Or will the party continue to regard his imprisonment as politically motivated?
We are so convinced, beyond reasonable doubt. The letters show it, that this is clear political victimization. The letters show it as well, that some state institutions are becoming politically colored, which is a concern for us. So I think that as long as the New Patriotic Party exists, we would continue to consider all the persons that are going through trial as politically motivated and political victimization.
Even when we have established wrongdoing.
How is it that we have a national security couple going through trial in a democratic country? Do you know the risk we expose ourselves to? Uduak, you have no idea what goes into national security. You have no idea. So even the fact that a national security coordinator, okay, who was in charge at Bureau of Signals Bureau, is going through trial, clearly tells you that this government is not looking at things well. You don't take our state security and state couples through some of these things. Not at all. It's the reason why you cannot politicize the military. You should not politicize the police. You should not politicize the Ghana Armed Forces and all of that. The immigrations, the customs, the fire service. It's because they stand for the state. So the fact that you can single out one person, Edu Buahin, and be sending him to court in and out, it doesn't augur well for the peace and serenity and security of this country. So we'll forever consider this political imprisonment. That is what will be in our records.
Okay. Now, the Ashanti region has now elected Odeneho Kwekuapia as the new regional chairman. Does that effectively close the Wontumi chapter of the NPP's political leadership in the Ashanti region?
Not at all. Okay. I mean, Chairman Wontumi is the former Ashanti regional chairman.
Yeah.
He is a pillar and a force to reckon with in the region. He has been chairman for 12 years,
and so his influence cannot be discounted. He is a member of the Ashanti Region NPP team. His counsel will be needed by the new chairman, Chairman Koka. We have congratulated him from the Chairman Wontumi campaign, and we have stated that he's stepping into very big shoes. It is Chairman Wontumi that brought Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to government. It is Chairman Wontumi that had almost 19 cabinet ministers from his region. And so Chairman Koka has an honest responsibility to work very hard to bring Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to power and to ensure that there are a lot more good cabinet ministers from Ashanti region. Of course, Chairman Wontumi would be part of his team to also make sure that the work is done collectively and the route and the results are also accredited to the party.
All right, now let's talk about the NPP itself. Has the party genuinely understood why Ghanaians voted it out? Or are we still in the conversation of Ghanaians were lied to bring them into power? Are we focusing on why? Because I know there were some committees put together to investigate the why the NPP lost power. Where are we now with that conversation?
Uduak, the only reason why we lost our election is because Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo had done his 8-year tenure. That is the only reason. We were done. We wanted to do something that had not been done before, which is to break the 8.
Break the 8 years.
From 1992 to 2024, we have always had an 8-year government.
Okay.
Always had an 8-year government.
Okay.
John Evans Atta Mills had his first term. President John Dramani Mahama came to continue. It was an 8-year government. And then Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo came. And he finished his 8-year government. So the only reason why we lost the 2024 election is because we had done with our 8-year government.
Okay, nothing else.
Nothing else, nothing more.
Okay.
And so we are going to win the 2028 election.
Because they would have been done with it.
Because they would have been done with their 8-year government.
Oh, but this is just 4 years.
It's not just 4 years. It's the second term of John Dramani Mahama. It is the second term.
Do
you admit that it is the second term?
It is.
It is the second term.
So
if it is the second term,
done with his 8
it means
years.
that John Dramani Mahama today is in his 6th year. Yes. Okay. That is how we'll do the calculation. Next year, he'll be in his 7th year.
Interesting calculation.
2028, he'll be in his 8th year. And that will be 8 years.
That he's done.
Of John Dramani Mahama.
And he can't break the 8.
And how can he break the 8?
Wow. We live to see. What are the 3 biggest mistakes of the NPP that they cannot afford to repeat? 3 big mistakes. I'll give you one.
Tell me.
I'll give you one. I think that, PR for the NPP's government was the worst I have seen in my entire young life. I have never seen. Let's categorize the NPP in this conversation as a company. Your PR team was the weakest because there were things that you did. Now young people, and I'm going to repeat this again, young people had to sit on my couch here to interpret to us what it was that the Free SHS initiative was and how effective it was. The NPP in its political tenure couldn't do that. So I think PR was terrible for you. I'm going to add that to 3 things. So please give me 2.
I will disagree with you.
No, I stand by this.
I will disagree with you, and I'll tell you why. The government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo had one of the best PR leaders, best ministers of information.
Oh, yes.
We had the Honorable Mustafa Hamid as the first minister for information. Then came the Honorable Kojo Oponkroma as the second minister for information. Right. Then came the Honorable Fatima Abubakar as the third minister for information. We had the best PR leaders for the government.
Okay.
Now, the Free Senior High School was one of the most spoken about policies of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
But spoken about badly.
No. It won as an election. The one district, one factory was one of the most spoken about policies of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The ambulances were one of the most spoken about policies of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The GPS address system, not the lotto kiosk to the left, the watch seller to the right. Now you can put in your GPS code and find your location to MX24. The number of policies that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo had, which was spoken about, far outweighs what this government is doing. To be fair, Uduak,
every second term of any government, there are always struggles and there are always challenges. So we can admit that there were shortfalls of those challenges, but we will not be here to be putting out our mistakes out. We have learned our lessons.
Okay.
We are rebuilding our party.
Okay.
We would come back to govern this country. The Ghanaian people would vote for us because the lies that the government of John Dramani Mahama used to campaign to give hope to this country is not what the Ghanaian people are seeing. Dollar is not just an economy. The economy far outweighs dollar. Unemployment is on its rise. It's increased by 8%. So what is this government doing? We need sustainable entrepreneurial jobs. The private sector must be equipped enough to be able to create jobs. The government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo did that. When we brought one district, one factory, it created jobs. When we brought Agenda 111, it created jobs.
The Agenda 111, which is under contest still.
How can it be under contest?
Under contention.
We had COVID-19. I was a victim of COVID-19.
Yes, you were.
I almost died. In fact, my doctor, Dr. Depa and Dr. Nina will tell you that, look, this guy almost died. In fact, maybe I died and God resurrected me.
Maybe.
So I'm a miracle living Palgrave. You understand? And look at it. We realized that there was a shortfall with our hospitals.
Yes.
The government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo knew that after his presidency, he wouldn't have an opportunity to be president again. He built the foundation. He said he was going to build 111 hospitals, including psychiatric hospitals. Uduak, you should see our hospitals and the state in which they are. And the fact that we have continually had this no birth syndrome. No government seems to want to address it.
Yeah.
If I was President John Dramani Mahama, I will continue Agenda 111 for the Ghanaian people. That's what I will do.
Majority leader, he's no longer majority leader, I believe. Mama Yarga says you people cannot recommend anything to them because, of course, you didn't finish what you started. You cannot tell them what they should continue. That's on a lighter note. But that's on a lighter note. Well, internal contests can leave political parties badly divided. And we've seen evidence of that in this country. And so I'm going to want to find out from you how serious are the factions within the NPP today, and what is being done to ensure that those divisions don't follow you into 2028. You just finished your executive elections. There were different fractions of the NDC that belonged to different parties. Some didn't win, others won. How bad is it, and how are we working on making sure that it does not affect the elections in 2028?
You know, Uduak, campaigns are such that there are teams that are formed.
Yes.
But in that team, it's a bigger team, which is the one team, which is the New Patriotic Party team.
Right.
We had our flag bearership election. You recall that was the beginning of our reorganization process.
Yes.
I was in the camp of Kennedy.
Yes.
I worked very hard for him. I campaigned for him. Yeah. We were done with the flag bearership election. The party regrouped. Now I'm in the camp of the New Patriotic Party. I work for the New Patriotic Party. I listen to the orders of my flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. I am with him every time. We travel together, we campaign together, we go for meetings together. That is the regrouping effort, okay? Now, we went into our polling station elections. We had our own recommendations that came out in terms of our expansion of our delegate system. Yeah. And then we went into our electoral area election, went to our constituency election, and this is the last but one election that we have had, which is the regional election. So now we have our 16 regional chairpersons appointed. Okay, let me first congratulate again my own regional chairman, Chairman Jeff Kunedu. Okay, he retained his seat. I called him to congratulate him. And then also let me congratulate Chairman Koka as well of Ashanti region. Let me congratulate the Greater Accra Chairman Dr. Okoboy and every other person that I may not know that has won their seat, which clearly tells you that we are regrouping. Okay, so as we speak now, there are no factions in the New Patriotic Party. Okay. We only have one faction, which is the faction of the New Patriotic Party, to deliver victory for Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And we are all in meetings with him because he is a strong unifier and bringing everybody on board. Because, you know, in our local palace, yesi praye wohoi uyi bakwa ebu ukaboma engeden embu. So in the Ubuntu-ness of the New Patriotic Party, we have to be together, we have to be united, and we have to forge ahead to be able to deliver victory for the party and for Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to become the president of the Republic of Ghana.
Okay. Now, there's often the temptation that the dissatisfaction of an incumbent president or a sitting president or a sitting political party is an automatic win for the opposition. Is that the case we're seeing when it comes to the NPP? Because we've heard many things in Parliament, ministers talking, members of the NPP talking about things that are not going well. I actually said this morning that what happened over the weekend with the KFC situation, where young people were seen breaking into the space because of 15 Ghana cedis, shows us clearly what it is that is really happening in country when it comes to poverty and the youth and where they're sitting right now. So really, for you as a political party, do you think that because people are not really satisfied with what the NDC is doing, automatically you're coming in power?
You know, Uduak, one of the things that God does for us is that when there is night, you know there will be morning. That's it. Okay. That's what God does for us. Okay? When there is morning, you know there is afternoon. And so clearly, the bad governance that we are seeing under the government of President John Dramani Mahama gives indication of the good governance that is coming under the leadership of His Excellency Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Clearly. Okay. And so this government is jittery. The members of the government are jittery. We have conversations, we have calls. They tell us that they don't like how their government is going about things. In fact, the Honorable Minister for Education, Haruna Idrisu, is known to have stated that these selective justices and the bail conditions that are ongoing is not what the rule of law is. Is he not a member of the government of John Dramani Mahama? In fact, he's not just a member, he's a cabinet minister. Okay, so clearly you can see that they are not happy. Okay. How can people be in police custody and they are being abused in a democratic state? I've never seen that before. So I don't know. It's clear that this government is ending. The Ghanaians are not happy with them. The KFC situation should clearly tell you how hungry we are to make sure the New Patriotic Party comes to power. I can tell you, if we were in power, okay, and KFC were celebrating 15 years, I know what our state would have done. Do you know what would have done? Would have immediately called the workers and management of KFC, sit with them with the security apparatus, because definitely they underestimated the hunger in the country. The nkoko and kete that the people have eaten. The government could not even give KFC a contract for them to buy the nkoko and kete. Do you know that there's a company in this country that has been importing chicken? Okay, 30,000 chickens every single year for the past 35 years from Brazil. Me, I don't eat frozen chicken. No. I go to Achimota. I buy live chicken. I tell them to kill it. Then I take it home and then I fry it. So look at the markets that we have. We have KFC, a very big franchise in this country. The government has a very good policy in Kokon Kete. They share it to all their branch executives. So then their branch executives chew the Nkoko. The minister comes for public accounts committee. He says Nkoko no almost your worry. And the president is sitting there. He doesn't sack the minister. Uduak, are you happy in this country that the minister can say that?
It doesn't seem right at all.
Okay. Hey, I got very sad. 245 million Ghana cedis. So the KFC situation clearly tells you how hungry we are. They underestimated the hunger in this country. It should give a wake-up call to the NDC government that they are out of the window. We as a patriotic party, the New Patriotic Party, under the leadership of Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, look, the KFC mad rush of chicken would never have happened.
Okay, all right, and that is Dr. Palgrave Boakye-Danquah. He is spokesperson for Chairman Wontumi, a staunch NPP member, and he's been talking to us about matters arising as it relates to the NPP. Now, one last question, team. I'm done. One last question. If a voter watching this morning says that I voted for the NPP 8 years ago, or okay, I voted for the NPP before, and I was disappointed, so I voted them out, or I didn't show up to vote at all, what will be your message to that individual this morning, that young person this morning, so we can wrap up the conversation?
My message is very simple. As you can see what President John Dramani Mahama is doing, it tells you that you cannot be idle in another democratic election. Come and vote for the New Patriotic Party in 2028. Vote for Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party. vote for innovation, vote for forwardness, vote for digitalization, vote for a new Ghana and a proper Ghana where systems work. You don't have to beg for job. You will not beg for job. You will not pay for job. You will get a job that you want. And then also vote for your parliamentary candidate. Uduak, I realize that this is your last question. But I want to state that we are picking a form for Chairman Wontumi to become the national chairman of the party. The party has opened up the nomination forms. It is between today and Saturday. And so one of these days, we will be picking our form this week for Chairman Wontumi. Then we'll send it to him for him to fill it. Then we'll send it across the country, 276 constituencies, for them to endorse it. Then we'll bring it for filing. And then we'll continue the processes from there. We pray and wish Chairman Wontumi well. We thank Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia for his support. We love him. We know that he's going to be a very good leader for this country, and we believe in his leadership. We thank the minority in parliament. We thank our minority leaders as well. We thank the party executives. And we congratulate all executives that have been elected from polling station all the way to regional elections.
People, I've seen many of your questions. We just don't have time. It's already 10. Yes, 10:03. We have to wrap up. But this question is quite interesting. I have known you for a minute. I don't know if I've ever asked you this before, but someone is asking us, what is your doctor of? What are you doctor of?
Okay, so my doctorate is Doctor of Business Leadership.
Okay.
Doctor of Business Leadership. Okay. Yes, so it's from Ipach in France.
Okay.
Nice, France.
Okay.
Yes, Ipach, France. Okay. Doctor of Business Leadership.
Okay,
yes.
Uncle Sir, please have you heard him. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Palgrave Boakye-Danquah, for joining us this morning on the show. It has been quite an eye-opening conversation, but we're looking forward to stories that develop after this and issues as it relates to Chairman Wontumi and the NPP. Wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
And a good morning to your beautiful wife.
Yes, my Ewe wife.
The Ewe woman is good.
Yes.
Anywho, now to you out there, thank you so much for being a part of the show this morning. As we keep learning and growing together, this has been Voting Voices on the AM Club. My name is Miriam Uduak Mensah. You've been watching us also on ABC News. If you joined us on ABC News, thank you and welcome to the beautiful family. This is a movement. It is not just a morning show. We keep learning and growing together. Connect with us on all social media platforms. It's MX24GH on all social media platforms. And of course, ABC News on all social media platforms. We're back here Monday to Friday. So tomorrow we're back here at 7 a.m. It finishes at 10. Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Have a fantastic week.